All right, yeah, I'm going to talk about CloudFlare Containers. So this just came out last week. It's in beta. It's brand new, and it's a milestone for Cloudflare. We haven't had a product like this yet until now. So you have like traditional hyperscalers. They all have a container product of one kind or another. Um, Basically, what containers on Cloudflare are they're basically serverless, and they run on the edge, and they're bound to a durable object. And I'm not going to go into like all the nuts and bolts behind how it works because I probably would not communicate it correctly. But developers.cloudflare.com/containers, you can read a lot more. I'm going to show a demo. So I have a worker, I have a Cloudflare worker, and it has a binding to a durable object with a container instance inside of it, and it also has a secret. And so when I go look at what that looks like in code, I have a Hono app. Is that big enough to see? Hopefully. Um, and basically, there's this new container class that you can import. And I'm just going to extend that, and I'm going to add a couple things like the default port that the container is going to listen on, and then what to do after the container stops. In this case, it's going to sleep after 5 minutes. And so then the rest of this is just a typical worker, but it's using Hono, which is like a very lightweight JavaScript framework, really good for scalable applications. And I'm going to bind the fast API container to the durable object. So if we go back to this thing, it's just my durable object has my container bound to it, and then my worker has access to that. And then I'm going to basically just proxy all of the API requests that come to my worker straight to my container, which is running Fast API. And I'm going to pass in some secrets also from Cloudflare Secret Store. And so that's kind of like the nuts and bolts of what's going on. And this bottom part, for those who have used Cloudflare Workers, might look a little more familiar. But I'm basically just taking the Cloudflare fetch handler from the Hono, and I'm just sticking it in there as the workers fetch. And then I have a scheduled parameter too, which is cool. With Cloudflare Workers, you can schedule them to run. So this worker is acting as both an API that someone can hit and request to, and a batch job that runs. And both of them are going to call my container, which is cool. So in this case, I'm starting the container and I'm passing some environmental variables to it. The interesting thing is that the way this works, so let me show you this. This is kind of the nuts and bolts of when you deploy something on Cloudflare, you have these bindings. And I have this containers binding right here. And it's just a link or just a path to my Docker file, which is right here. So when I deploy it, it's actually going to like build the Docker image locally and then push all of that up to a Cloudflare image registry. And then it's going to be accessible by the worker. And in this case, I have 10 instances that can run at the same time. This is just the name of the class. Here's the durable object, secret. But the cool thing is, like, here's my Docker file. Has anyone used Fast API? It's great. If you haven't, you should check it out. But this is like a typical Docker file you'd have with Fast API. It just runs a Python API server. And the cool part is that this is what the API part of the worker is running. But on the scheduled part, I'm actually just overriding the entry point, and I'm having it instead use the exact same Docker file, but it's going to run this process script instead. And so I should have probably talked about what these scripts do, like what the API does. It runs a really crappy XGBoost model I trained to just like make a fake score. This is my team does a lot of like ML inference, and so before we'd have to deploy something on Kubernetes or somewhere, and now we're just going to do a lot of this on Cloudflare containers instead. So the program basically just like loads a kind of a fake model I trained from R2, and it's going to select a random lead. I'm just kind of a random piece of data, and then it's going to run the inference on it. And it's going to return the data back. So it's going to do that when you hit it with the API, and it's going to do that on an interval too. And that's just two common use cases that we have at work. I'm sure other people have similar use cases. Um, so what does this look like in the logs? So I'm over here in the Cloudflare dashboard. I am under compute, and there's a containers section. And this is my name of my container that was created. It's called containers model template, and it has two instances. Um, one I think is from the API being hit. The other one's from the schedule, which is interesting. It's they're on two different like kind of intervals being used. So they're the algorithm behind what the thing that spins all these up is it decided you need two instances to satisfy um, the traffic hitting your container. Uh, these are the logs. So I have these are logs from inside the container. So this is the Python code that's logging stuff out, and it's just saying, hey, you sent me this person or this record with annual revenue of 0, industry banking score 0. So yeah, annual revenue, blah, 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 score 0. So the point is, it's just like, this is the Python code actually from inside the container. And then over on the worker side, the workers logs, this is what shows the like runtime of the API that's running, either the batch running or the actual API getting hit. And this is the JavaScript code running. So we got the JavaScript code running here if you want to see those logs. And then you got the Python code running in your container also if you want to see those logs. So pretty handy to just like go back and forth if you need to. Here are the events that have run. Like I have the cron job to run every 5 minutes. That was in my, that was right here. And so yeah, I mean, the point is like I'm running containers on the edge and you can hit it with a request. You can run it on a cron job, and it's kind of like just a random Python program, but it could be any program. Anything that goes into Docker, you can run on here.
Huh.
I will, getting to the end, but before I wrap it up, there's a couple of things that aren't there today yet. So one of them, Cloud Run, is like a kind of a comparison people make to Cloudflare Containers. There is no auto scaling feature yet, but that's coming, and that would make it more like a Cloud Run, where you can just throw like lots of traffic at it and it'll provision however many instances it needs to keep up. That doesn't exist today. Another thing, so volumes aren't there yet, Docker volumes, but they're coming. So you would be able to mount like an R2 bucket as like a file system to your container, and then you can like pull in all the files from your R2 bucket. And for those that have used workers before, you might know about bindings and how you can execute methods on those objects that are bound to your worker. That will be available inside of your container through the volume at some point. So you could just have your Python code execute the binding method on your R2 bucket or your D1 database or your workers AI or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to keep going back to JavaScript to do that, which is pretty cool. Huh. Also, the exec command, which Docker users know, lets you just run arbitrary code inside a container. That's going to come too eventually. And there's a few other things that aren't there yet today, but the team, knows about them and is on the roadmap. It probably wouldn't be a great talk if I didn't talk about pricing at some point. I don't know if these numbers are real or not. I just kind of said perplexity. Hopefully you can figure it out. I said, what would it cost to run 10 containers with half a CPU, 4 gigs each, which is that's the kind of largest container instance version we have right now. Run 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, pretty much just like nonstop workload. Mm-hmm. These are the numbers it came back with for Cloudflare Containers. It said $162 a month, which is not bad. It's probably on par with, I don't know. It depends on what you're doing, obviously, beyond that, but that's a baseline. It's not terrible. Fargate, which is an AWS competitor to this, it said it was like way more. Fargate with spot pricing, which has much longer cold start times, would be sort of cheap, but still more. And then Cloud Run is like way, way more. So I don't know if these numbers are that accurate or not. I guess we'll find out over time, but I thought it was at least compelling to bring that up because, for me personally, I'd love to put more stuff on Cloudflare containers, both at work and my personal stuff too. So please go check it out if you want. And it's in beta. You can go in the Discord and people will be there to answer questions and other people are in there testing it out. So yeah, I hope you give it a shot and let us know what you like or don't like about it. But yeah, that's it for me, I guess.
Awesome.
So
I have a question about so I have this like stupid, it's not even stupid. I use it, my most used graph right now is a Python LangGraph script that goes and pulls in my markdown files that contain all my transcripts from my meetings and enriches my notes, right? Use it a bunch of times a day. It's an Obsidian, so it's back to like a Git repo. And then I'm using Llama 318 billion parameter on there. So how can I get access using containers and Cloudflare's Edge to like a Llama model? How does that work with these?
So if you're going to do inference from inside the container, you can use, right now, if you want to use Workers AI, you'd use REST API. If you want to use ChatGPT, I mean, anything you can pip install, you can, if you want to pip install OpenAI SDK or whatever, like that'll Gemini.
What if I wanted to run it like within that container? I don't care how long it takes.
Yeah.
But I want to be, I don't like that data going anywhere. So like, can I run it inside of
like an Ollama, you're saying, or something? Oh. So there, okay, I should have mentioned this. No GPUs yet on the containers. When that comes, it will be truly OP, but I don't think we're there yet. So yeah, that is not there yet, but I like the way you're thinking. We'd all like that, I think. So. Oh no, you can run GPUs and I know a couple of people here that have run Ollama in Docker, I think. So, and they're using GPUs. So yeah, I mean, there's certain image types you can use. There's some NVIDIA images that you can use for CUDA and stuff.
Yeah. I have a question from Zoom.
Yes.
Robert Kessler asks, I use Fargate with 500 containers at once. Can I do that now in the cloud?
No.
No.
Not yet. So like I said, there's an auto scaling feature that is coming, but it's not there today. In fact, one thing I'll mention is another caveat. This is like a future enhancement. You see the locations of these. Like obviously we're not in Los Angeles right now, right? And I think we just saw one that was like Singapore. We're in Texas. So what's happening is the durable object and the worker is running in Texas because it's near us, because it's co-located closest to us. That's how Cloudflare works. The containers are not there yet. They will run wherever the first available one comes up. So that's why you're getting stuff in like LA and stuff like that. There's a scalability factor that has to be met. Right now we're just in beta. Eventually it'll be, ubiquitous across the network, just like durable objects are. But yeah, Robert, not yet.
He says, call me when I know. I have a question. So you mentioned that you have a Ono TypeScript API.
Yeah.
Which then calls a fast API, Python API that's running inside a container. So
yes,
the Ono app simply just to bootstrap it for an external API endpoint?
Well, so Cloudflare runs on JavaScript. You can run any WASM compatible language on Cloudflare. So you could potentially run like Rust or Golang or something that compiles to WASM, but most of the documentation examples, everything is really like TypeScript or JavaScript. And so that is just like it's kind of like the car. And then whatever you want to put in the car can be, whatever you want. It could be Python, it could be Go, it could be something else. But to, get the best out of our network, yeah, it's going to be TypeScript as like the vehicle you run the request through.
That's just the glue API between the external connection that you're making to whatever's running inside the container.
Yeah, so you can see right here, I'm using this get container method, And it's basically, it's provisioning an instance. It's like getting an instance of a container. And then I'm starting the container and I'm passing these environmental variables to it. This part's actually optional, but to the way I was figuring out, if you want to pass environmental variables in, which in this case is like a secret, then you needed that first. And then you pass the fetch that came to your worker to your container to that port 880 that Fast API is listening on. And so it's just like a straight pass through.
And
Yeah.
Fetch is what's making it happen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
On the region, sorry, say, and not limited to say, US deployment free.
Not yet. So that's coming. That's like one of the big things they said. Asterisks, this is not available yet. Just like with, Cloudflare, you can you can put stuff in different regions or, nationalities. I don't think you can do that yet with containers at all. So it's like still kind of a limited, it's just because there's not that much of it yet deployed, I think. So that'll change as beta goes away and it goes to GA.
There's any plan about that kind of
That is a great question.
So everyone can hear it online.
So he asked about if there's like an orchestration framework or process on the roadmap. I think so. I think that what you can do in workers is you can, like I said, bind stuff together. You can bind one worker to another, and then you can have one worker call another worker's methods through something called RPC call. It's a remote procedure call. It's like a JavaScript thing. So I would imagine that through that bindings and RPC method, you could string together like hundreds of containers and have them like orchestrated in a way. The biggest like thing I have to compare that is Kubernetes, and Kubernetes is like a beast, right? There's like so much to it. The Cloudflare way is usually pretty lightweight, so I would imagine they would stick to like the most lightweight, elegant solution they could to do stuff like that, versus like going out and trying to build a whole nother like Kubernetes type thing. So it might be a little DIY for a while, but that's like, I use Kubernetes all the time and I would love to just use as less of it as possible. So I think a lot of people are pushing for orchestration stuff. Sorry, that wasn't a great answer. Yes. Yeah, you could like call another container running in another worker and have it fetch into that container and do stuff there. Yeah, I don't have an example of that yet, but it's on my list. Yeah, it's a good question.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to more questions at the after party. I want to please thank to Collier for dropping the knowledge on Cloudflare containers. I know I'm excited to use them. Probably put